Alright guys, it's Copper Cutlass, and before I flip this over to start talking about what I'm going to talk about, I guess, I got to thank my wife. I put the whole household on pause because I'm doing this in the dining room. I got a bunch of time slips all laid out. We went racing Friday, and the whole concept was Friday was going to be a glorified test and tune, and then we were going to run the index the next day, but we got rained out. And instead of racing, I actually fulfilled a bunch of things that I needed to do that were priority, like a wake and my mom's birthday. God, I sound like a horrible fucking person, but it's fine. Uh, Instead, we took care of that stuff, and this morning we went and actually picked up a frame jig for the shop I work at, which we're going to do something with. It's you can't pass up a really cheap piece of equipment. So we've been pretty busy all weekend, so which is why I'm getting to this video pretty damn late in the weekend. I like to do things when a little bit fresher on my mind, but let me flip it, and I will talk to you guys about what we got going on. All right, so these are actual time slips from Friday, and they are laid out in the order in which they were ran. So our first run of the day, we caught an 020 light, which big thanks to my buddy Dr. Dan for making a couple of crucial suggestions to me to make on the car, and we didn't go red all day, although we did have one really bad light and the car stumbled, and I'll explain that in a second. But our first run was a 020 light, a 162 60 foot, which is really good straight out of the box, and a 737 eighth mile, which again straight out of the box for the conditions was really good. Now I'm going to compare that to one of our better runs from the last time we went out, which the conditions were really shitty as well. So this is a 736 with a 160 foot, 91 miles per hour in the eighth. It's 91 miles per hour in the eighth. 470 You guys can see it, next to each other. It'd be better if they were tighter, but that's not horrible. Obviously, that light was red. But either way, our second time run was against my buddy Mike, and I'm going to also share the pictures I got from the photographer. I got a couple videos of my buddy Mike running. He went into the finals that day. First round of eliminations was where the action counted, and I went 039 green, which wasn't horrible, and the guy next to me went 010. He was 2 seconds faster than I was. It was still a bracket class, even though it was kind of a grudge race deal. But it was kind of like open bracket racing rules. If you were running a top sportsman car, you can run your dragster with a delay box, which is what I actually ended up running. And when I ran the same car in my first time run, he went red 008, I went 020. Obviously, he improved his light. Mine slowed down a little bit, but that was our best 60 foot of the night. I had a 737 dial. I want a 733. Clearly, our tune is on the fat side. Suggestions have already been made by my good buddy, and I think at this point I have to just start logging and quit messing with the car, because we kind of have been chasing our tail, just fiddling and chasing down small problems. But if there is any inclination that our tune is much better, is comparing it to like our fastest, sorry for shaking that, is comparing our fastest pass of the night, which was our last pass, was comparing it to a much better weather condition time slip. So like this particular time run was about 3 hours apart, a little under 3 hours apart from this one, and it was going to rain the next day, so we had a 15-degree drop between this time run and this elimination run, and then the density altitude changed 400 feet between this run and that run, it coming down all across the board except for humidity. Humidity shot up a little bit, but not a lot, about 20%. But the fact that it cooled off and the car picked up tells us that the tune is on the fat side, but it's not like overly fat. The suggestion that was made was very minimal, and much like his last suggestion, changing the tire pressure quite aggressively, I may add, actually helped me out a lot. And I think we're ready for our next points race, and hopefully we can go some rounds. I'm hopeful for that, and but we'll see what happens. Ultimately, the car is working pretty damn good overall, but now we have to go rounds. Now that we got everything working good, we have to keep logging all of this stuff down and go from there. But I will show you guys, this is our best time slip this is the fastest we have gone since we have the cylinder head work done and all that stuff. So it was an 060 60 foot, which isn't our best 60 foot, by the way. Our best 60 foot, I re-geared it after this, and we lost some mile an hour, but we gained some 60 foot. It went 16060, 151 at 115. The 8th mile was a 728. This one being a 733, we're only 500ths off, and the 60 foot is only off by a little bit, so meaning that things are actually performing fairly well. The fall time runs will tell us everything we want to know, because the conditions will be like this, where this was like November. We had, negative density altitude. We had mine shaft air, and obviously the 850 that was in there, I had mirrored over after another one. It just didn't work. It just wasn't there. We had another one, which I actually have the time slip marked with the carburetor that we tested with, and that's what I mirrored it, and it performed pretty much about the same. It was rejetted so that it, would perform properly, but obviously it's too lean. I just think that personally, I think the carburetor just is not correct for the combination, and I'm just going to kind of leave it at that, because again, this is all still, like, the most conclusive data we have is from these time slips right here, which is from the last time we went testing and when we went racing, and anything else that has been done prior kind of is out the window, because we changed the carburetor. And that's very critical, especially if you're bracket racing. You make some big change like that, it is really hard to go back unless you revert to something. Like if we went back to our other 850 carburetor, we have a bunch of time slips that we can consult on, but now that we are with a different carburetor, the tune is different, the car is running much better, it's running really good. We have some data, but for the sake of focusing on driving, and you can only make so many changes to the car, you have to anticipate what the car is going to do to some extent. And I think we are at a good point where racing on Friday night saw a kind of a big change in weather, which it happened in reverse. Most times when we're racing, we start out in the day, it's a little bit cooler, the car is going to slow down, and you know what's going to happen. Well, Friday, we started our day at probably just past peak heat and conditions, and they tapered off, and obviously now we know what the car is going to do in that situation, but it is very rare that we actually race under those conditions. We do have one night race for the season, and it's going to be a double header, so we're really going to put the car to the test, even though we have been flogging it. Obviously, you guys got stacks of time slips. These time slips are all with the motor being reinstalled with the cylinder heads. We've made a lot of runs on this motor already, and we made a lot of runs this year, with the last time going out being our 7th time, I believe. So we've really been just chasing it and trying our best to get the car to work right, and I think it's now headed in the right direction from the last 2 times out, which no changes were made between the last time and this time, outside of changing the carburetor and making sure that the timing was correct and our valve lash was there and all of that fun stuff that you guys have been hopefully following along with. So I'll let you guys go. That's it. Share, like, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. It's Copper Cutlass. Hit like, share, subscribe. Have a beer. It's Sunday, fun day, and we'll see you guys around.